maybe we should take a moment and talk about some extra image editing options that we have available whenever we're working with our graphics inside WordPress. Now, I'm still inside the Preview tab inside my browser, and what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to keep this Preview tab open because we'll be coming back to this screen in just a moment as we start messing around with our graphic a little bit. But what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to head back to the back end of my blog, the Edit Post screen, and I hope you still have that guy open. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, just give me a second here, I'm going to expand this out just so we have a little bit more elbow room here. And there's a few things that I want to point out as you're editing your images here. So here's my cartoon robot. And of course, as you already know, when I click on my robot, I get these two icons showing up in the top left corner there. And again, if they go and disappear on you, just single click on your image again. And we know that the first icon is going to let us edit our image. And that second icon, of course, is going to let us delete our image, right? But what you may not have noticed is we have these resize handles all the way around our image, running all the way around the outside of our image. So in all four corners and on all four sides of our image. Now, what these little grab handles will let us do, essentially, is visually scale our image if we want. Maybe something like this. I can scale them down if I want, something like that. It kind of gives me a much better idea of what my graphic will look like as a part of my overall post, right? So of course you can scale them way down, you can scale them back up if you wish, whatever you want, really. But you have to be careful with these resize handles because if you use the grab handles on the sides, well then what winds up happening is you wind up distorting your graphic, which is really no good, right? So watch out for that. Now, I have a quick skill testing question for you. Earlier on, we saw where there was an undo button inside our interface here inside WordPress whenever we're editing our posts. Do you remember where that undo button is? Of course, we could hit Control-Z or Command-Z here on our keyboards if we wanted to, but I'm wondering if you remember where that undo button is. Well, if you're thinking it's on the kitchen sink toolbar, you're absolutely right. Go ahead and pop open your kitchen sink, and then there's our undo. So I can just hit undo there, and that will resize my image back to where it was. As a matter of fact, I can hit undo multiple times just to kind of step my way all the way through all those different changes, just like a traditional undo in a word processor, right? Okay, good stuff. So there's our undo. Don't forget about that guy. Okay, I'm going to collapse down my kitchen sink toolbar. I'll just click on that little toggle button there. And there's a few other things that I want to show you here while you're working on your images and editing your images inside your posts. So here's what I'm going to do. Right now, I'm inside my visual editor, of course. I'm going to go and flip over to the HTML editor. Go ahead and do the same thing there. Now, this entire block of code at the very top of my post anyway, that's all the code that's needed to insert my graphic into my post. But I think what we'll do here is let's kind of break this down a little bit. So the code starts off by referring to caption, and then it has ID equals attachment underscore 107. Now what ID equals means, if you're unfamiliar, is that that's a reference to a CSS rule, something called an ID selector rule in the world of CSS. So it's using CSS here. There's an alignment option here. There's width, and then it has caption equals, and then here's Jeff's caption with some weird looking characters there inside the spaces there and the apostrophes and that kind of stuff, right? So this is the caption that I'm sure you remember typing in not too long ago when we were first inserting our image into our post, right? And then after that, it kind of switches back to regular old HTML. There's an image tag, class equals, and then size full WP hyphen image hyphen 107. Now that's a reference once again to another CSS rule called a class rule. And then after that, we have our title. Here's Jeff's cartoon droid. I'm sure you remember typing in your title. And then, do you remember earlier we were talking about the source of your image? So the location of droid2.jpg is now whatever my website is. I'm on localhost, but you could be on yourname.com or something like that. /WP content, /uploads, /year, /month, and then of course the name of the graphic, right? And then after that we have our alt text or our alternative text. Here's the alternate text for Jeff's cartoon droid, followed by the width, followed by the height. So that's a breakdown of all of the code, right? Now, I thought it would be fun here, because we're dealing with code, that means that everything is editable. We kind of have carte blanche here in terms of editing our stuff. So I thought it would be kind of fun to do some code editing here with you to try and control and manipulate our graphic a little bit.